Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna have like a super chill, super chatty chit chat about things that I have learned in my first 4 years of Teachers Pay Teachers, because we just finished year number 4 of TPT, year number 5 of the blog, and y'all, it's been a journey. I feel like 4 years is like significant. Like that is like an actual business. It's not like, you know, oh, I just started. So I'm excited, hopefully you're excited, and let's grab some coffee and have a chit chat. So you grab something, pause the video, I'll grab something, let's go start. All right friends, coffee has been acquired. Got a nice little Disney mug over here, and I have my list of things to talk about. The funny thing is that when I started thinking about this video, I was like, I don't have anything to talk about because I tell you things like, you know, all the time. And then I started like writing down my ideas, and the more I wrote them down, the more I had. Then I had a hard time narrowing it down. So the first thing I want to tell you is, for you, just throughout your life, it is a good practice to get into to stop and like reflect on certain periods of time. So I do this a couple of different times a year, focused on a couple of different things. So like at the end of the year, I always reflect on my teaching and how that's gone. At the end of the calendar year, and then usually also in July, and usually also around my birthday, I'll kind of reflect on the past year and just kind of what we're doing and what's going on. Hello. And so in September, I usually sit down and really reflect on this past year of the business especially. And this is a time when, like at the end of the year, I'm really thinking like numbers and data and how those things are going. But this is really more of a time when I think through like, what have I learned and how have I grown and how is the shop bigger and better now than it used to be. And so it's a little more like philosophical than like the data and numbers that I really focus on at like the end of the year. So that would be my number one tip, is make sure that you are taking time to reflect throughout the year just on your personal journey and your business journey and all that kind of stuff. Now let's do a little bit of background, and then we'll jump into all the things that I want to share that I have really learned and solidified in this past year. So if you're new around here, hi, I'm Becca. I'm an elementary music teacher, and I started the blog, Becca's Music Room, 5 years ago in 2017. I happen to know that it, yes, was in September because I just paid for my website renewal. So I was like, it's time. And then I blogged for a year, doing just blog and Instagram, and attempting a little bit of an email list. And then after a year, I added in Teachers Pay Teachers and started selling over there. Really what happened is I started making more stuff for my students. I wanted to share those things on my blog, but I didn't have a good way to do that, number one. And number two is that I was like, this is a lot of work. And I don't really feel like, you know, it's fair for me to do all this work and then just give all of the stuff away for free. So obviously I give some stuff away for free, but you know, when you're doing that much work, and y'all know what I'm talking about, it's nice to get a little bit of money in return for that. And so Teachers Pay Teachers, I looked at as mostly like a distribution platform. And then also I was like, oh, well, I can also, you know, charge a little bit so that I can make some of that time back. And you know, now here we are 4 years later from that, and it's been quite a journey. I definitely did not know it was going to end up like this when I first started, but it's been great. It's been great. So let's talk about some things that I learned, or some things that I already knew but really solidified, that were really big for me in this past year, so that hopefully you can use these things as well. Number one, and just right off the bat, I want to tell you, it gets easier. When you first start Teachers Pay Teachers, it is so hard. Making products is so hard. Posting products is so hard. And it's like every time you do something, you find out there's something else you should be doing. Like, oh, you should be doing product photography. Oh, you should be doing SEO research. Oh, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. And it's just like a constant thing. And so if you are newer and you're feeling overwhelmed, please know it gets easier. Think about teaching. Most of us are teachers, and so your first year of teaching is so difficult because you just don't even know what you don't know yet. And then the second year, it's like, okay, now I at least know what I don't know, but I still don't really know what I'm doing. And so it takes a few years to really kind of start to get the hang of teaching, to the point where you actually like kind of sort of know what you're doing, and it gets so much easier. The same thing with your business. It gets easier the longer you do it, because you're practicing in it. You know what you're doing now. the products get easier, the products get faster, you have systems, you have routines, you have all these different things that make it easier. And so TPT in year 4 is a lot easier than in year 1. Am I working less? No. But I am, you know, doing things in such a way to make sure that they are more effective, and just overall, it's easier. It's easier. It's just not as hard. It's just not as difficult once you kind of sort of at least know what you're doing. So just right off the bat, I want to give you that inspiration. If you are struggling, it does get easier. It's, you know, it's a learning curve, and that's not as bad. That being said, let's jump into some other things. So number 1, none of these will shock anybody because it's stuff I've been talking about all year, but number 1 is going to be seasonal products. I always had some seasonal products, but this past year I really learned the value of seasonal products, like in a way that kind of blew my mind. This past year I had a few extra like seasonal products that I started making, and then specifically I was looking at my data, and I was like, okay, I'm always kind of low at the at usually March and April and May are a little bit lower, and so I made a bunch of seasonal resources for March and May and April, and it went so much better. And then I've just seen that over and over in this past year. Like I made some back to school stuff, and that did really well. I made some like winter games activities for music that did very well during the Winter Olympics, and just like a lot of those like seasonal products, I really saw this past year that is frankly where a lot of money lies. Now, the downside to seasonal products is that they are seasonal, so they only sell for a certain amount of time. So even though, you know, my Nutcracker virtual field trip sells really, really well in December, it doesn't sell as well the rest of the year because it's a Christmas ballet. And so the rest of the year, you know, you kind of have to do other things. So seasonal products can be great, but do be aware that it does kind of give you in this like, oh, well then I need to make seasonal products for the next season and the next season kind of thing. This year I really learned the value of having some seasonal products, and throughout this year I kind of worked maybe a little harder than I needed to on doing things like that, like, oh, now I need seasonal products for this season and for that season. And so now I'm kind of in a different place where I am able to make more evergreen products, and then I've been kind of filling in some seasonal if there's kind of a hole. Like I noticed that November usually is kind of lower for me, so I'm looking at November and saying, okay, what can I make that's related to November that will help, you know, me sell more. And then I have a couple of product lines that are seasonal that are easy for me to swap out, and that has been really helpful going through this past year, like learning how essential seasonal products are, going kind of crazy on the seasonal products, and now I've kind of reined it in and started more like, okay, let's work on a couple of product lines that can easily be swapped out for the different seasons, and then I don't have to stress quite as much about the rest of it. So seasonal products are a total game changer when it comes to making money, especially in certain seasons. But do it in moderation would be my caution for that. Number 2, seasonal content is where it's at. So not just seasonal products, but seasonal content is a game changer. Like YouTube videos that go along with certain holidays, blog posts that go along with certain things. I just find that seasonal products, it's easier to kind of capture people because a lot of people are searching for the same thing. So like we just got through back to school season. Some of you just started school. And so everybody is searching for back to school things. And so even though I don't know, you know, what specific rhythm people are looking for or what game people are looking for, if they're searching for back to school and I have back to school products, they can find me. Same thing with like Halloween. When Halloween comes up, a lot of people are looking for Halloween stuff. That doesn't mean everyone's looking, but a lot of people are. And so if you have some Halloween things, then people are able to purchase them. And it just gives like one more way to find you is kind of how I look at that. And then having the products and the content gives kind of a deadline. It's like you have to buy it or you have to watch the video in time for Halloween. So it's like a lot of people are thinking about the same things. And so having, you know, blog posts and Instagram reels and that kind of stuff about things that are timely and seasonal is really, really helpful. That's not always something you can accomplish, but if you are strategic about it, it can help your blog and your YouTube and your Instagram and all of that a lot by just like really keeping up and having that timely content. Number 3 is product lines. I know I've talked about product lines a lot before, but I have been even more infatuated with product lines recently. This year, I basically said that I am going to make everything a product line. That's not entirely true, but pretty much everything has a product line these days. I really look at how I can make more than one product, and I can use, you know, similar themes, similar activities, similar, you know, products, and make more products that go along with them and then bundle them, because then you're getting a higher ticket item. If someone's buying a bundle with 5 different rhythm games, that's gonna make you a lot more money than if they just purchase the one. So this year in particular, I've really looked at like taking a game and doing it for all the different rhythms, or doing it for all these different solfege patterns. And in that, I've been able to build these product lines, and they have totally changed my life. It makes a huge, huge, huge difference, because again, you're making a higher price per item, and there's even more ways for people to find you, which is one thing that I've noticed. So if someone's looking for a, you know, half note game, and someone else is looking for a 16th note game, they can both find you through the same product line, just 2 different products, because one's for half notes and one's for 16th notes. And then both of them are like, oh, hey, look, it's a bundle. And they buy the bundle, or maybe they don't buy the bundle, but they buy 2 things out of the bundle, or, you know, something like that. So I have become even more infatuated with product lines than I used to be, because it has really helped these past couple of months. And I've really been looking at, you know, instead of making individual products, I still have some things that are individual, but overall really looking at like making a product line instead of just making one product. It does take more time, obviously, but it also gives you way more in payback later on. Along with those product lines, having what I'm calling related products also really helps. So this could be a seasonal product where every season you have, you know, seasonal writing prompts, and you just have different prompts for each season, and they're all related, so people want to buy all of them. Or if you just have other, you know, related things. So for example, over the summer, I had like a summer movement activity, a summer rhythm activity, and summer like write the room, and all of those were related. They were also seasonal, but they all, you know, kind of went together. Or if you have like a couple of games that are similar, so like I have 2 kind of ocean themed games that are for centers, so I've seen a lot of people have been purchasing both of them, because they can do both of them with your students, and they're kind of, you know, similar in that. Or just even like I've been making a lot of centers games, and so I've been doing a lot of like card games, and so I have this card game, and I have that card game, and I have that card game. And having these related resources has really helped people to purchase more stuff in my shop, because they like one and then they find more and they like those, or they already have one and then I send them an email about this new products that I have that's related, and then they want to go purchase that. And so having those like related products and just people really knowing what to expect from you and from your product has been a really big thing. Anytime that you can get people to purchase more than one thing at a time, or you can give them something that they already liked, it's going to do better for your store. This could be as simple as if you have like math warm-up Google Slides, then maybe you do like math closing Google Slides, or reading warm-up Google Slides, or, you know, something like that. So they're similar, they're related, and people are more likely to purchase them. It's kind of on that same idea of a product line, but not everything fits into a product line. But sometimes they can be related and not a product line, but both will still help you. Number, I think we're on 5, 6, I don't know. Next one is one I went on a whole rave about the other day, and that is having an audience. I feel like people talking about TPT and talking about online business don't stress this enough, because especially on TPT, there's all this like, just, you know, just take it slow and do one thing at a time, which I totally believe. But people get a little bit too like, oh, just make products, and forget the other half, which is you need someone to sell your products to. So having an audience, having people that you can talk to, that you can reach out to, allows you to sell your products more directly. It gives you more control in your business, because if I have a month where I'm not doing so well, I can send an email to my email list. I can throw a sale and talk about it on Instagram. Like, I have options now that I didn't have before, because I have an audience, I actually have people to talk to. It also helps you to get people to talk to you so that you know what they need and what they want. And it like builds up relationships, so people are more likely to purchase from you because they know you now, and it's just so good. You can do an audience through, a lot of people do social media. Social media is great because it's really easy to talk to people on social media. An audience on YouTube is also a thing. Email is also a huge thing. Email is one of my like top converting things. I make a lot of money off my email list, and it is something I wholly really believe in. It's not quite as, people can email you back, but it's not quite as like conversation friendly as Instagram. So I still like, I have Instagram, you know, I have all the different things that have certain like purposes. Money wise, email is definitely the best for me personally, but Instagram has also been helping with like conversations and sending, you know, behind the scenes and doing all sorts of fun things like that. And just, yeah. So having an audience is something that will change your life. It's also one of those things that starts really slowly because you have to grow it. So start an audience, start somewhere that you're doing an audience. And for me, the best results I have seen is building my audience on email list through my long form content. And I'm always gonna tell you, the best thing you can do for your store is to have long form content linked to an email list, linked to your store. Because that's really where the magic happens, because people find your blog or they find your YouTube channel, they download your freebie, and now they're on your email list, and you can like actually explain things on your email list, and on, you know, you can actually explain things on YouTube and on your blog and all of those things. So having an audience is a game changer. I really saw this quite a few times. Actually in February, I was like this close to hitting my goal. And it was like the last day of February. And so I threw a sale, and I sent emails to my email list, and I, you know, talked to people on Instagram, and my sales did really well that day, and I was able to hit my goal. And that was so exciting. I also just finished my 2 best sales ever in August, which I 100% attribute to my email list, having an audience, like having built that over time. And I also saw it a lot because I released a course for my music teachers, and it sold really well, better than I was expecting, honestly. And that to me was just the power of having an audience and also like making something that they really wanted. And so listening to people, talking to people, and all of that stuff. So if you don't have an audience, definitely work on that, whether that's email or social media. I would say email is the best, but you know, they both have their advantages because it just gives you so much more flexibility in your business. Like I said, you have more control. You're able to actually talk to people. You have someone to sell to. Like there's just so many benefits of an audience. We actually have a whole different video that's going to come out in a few months talking about that, because I'm a few months ahead, look at me. And so I won't spoil it all for you, but definitely you need an audience. The next thing is that one of the most important things about your product is your product listing. Previews, videos, thumbnails, descriptions, all of those things are so important. And over the last few months, I already thought they were important, but over the last few months, I really like dove into that, and I have been spending a lot of time and effort on making sure my video previews look really good, making sure I have product photography and my covers look good, and like I'm doing previews and video previews, like using all the available space to sell my products. And it takes extra time, but it has been so worth it because it's been converting a lot better. When you are posting a product, that's kind of your first line of defense, is your listing page, your preview, your video preview, all that kind of stuff. If that stuff doesn't look good, it doesn't matter how good your product does. It doesn't matter if you have an audience. It doesn't matter if you have, you know, long form content related to it, because if your listing doesn't look good, you're still not going to make the money that you should. So really spending that time in the beginning, it's frustrating because you just want to throw the product up, but making myself stop and slow down and work through video previews, having previews, taking the photos, and doing all of those things has been a game changer. Like I said, I already was doing this, but I really emphasized it, especially with previews and video previews this like last couple of months, and I have seen that that has gone very, very well. I've also been trying to update some old products and add video previews and add previews and like add those things back in that I don't have. And so I don't have like real official data on that yet, but hopefully I can continue that. It's always, you know, like how much do you update old products and how much do you make new products and how much do you make vlogs, and you know, there's just so many things to do. But I have really been looking at that, and yeah, it's been very helpful. So first line of defense, previews, video previews, all that good stuff. The next three are a little more, or maybe a little less tactical. But the next one is that as you are doing this, actually I was just talking to my mom about this today because she is wanting to sell patterns, like quilt patterns and craft patterns and stuff like that online, because she does sewing, and so she's taking like a course to do this. And so I was just talking to her about this today. I was like, the great thing about online business and passive income is that once you make something, it can continue to sell forever, which means that if you make something and you make something else and you make something else, it ends up making this like exponential growth that will happen if you do it correctly and if you make sure that you actually are sticking with it and doing the hard work. But if you are, especially if you are newer, I would say, okay, let me back up. I have noticed in the past that a lot of times I will find like a YouTuber after they've been on YouTube for 3 years. It just seems to be like the magic. Like after 3 years, people kind of know what they're doing and things kind of start to go a lot better. So this past year, as I was, you know, finishing up year 3, going into year 4, I was really excited because I was like, oh, you know, we're gonna see what's gonna happen, you know, with my years. And once you get to year 3 and year 4, it really starts building momentum in your business. And so all of that hard work that you've been doing that maybe you haven't been seeing yet really helps, like it builds up and it starts taking off more than it has been before. So if you're in year 1 or year 2 or even year 3, then hold on, keep doing the work, because it will come and it will pay off, and it really starts to happen more in year 3 and year 4, and you really start to see the fruits of your labor from all those blog posts you wrote, all those products you made, all that product photography you did. Like it really starts to click and take off after you've been doing this for 3 or 4 years. And so that's one thing that I saw this past year. I have been like blown away. I'm not gonna lie. I've been blown away by this past year. And it never would have happened if I'd given up, first of all. But it really is just the culmination of all that hard work that I have been doing for years. I wasn't working more. I'm working a little bit more, but I was just, you know, it's like everything builds upon each other until you get that exponential growth. And so along with that, feel free to dream big. And once you have your dream a little bit bigger, because the bigger you dream and the more you believe that you can do it, the more it really will happen. I know that sounds a little like hooey, you know, but if you get to the point where you're like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I need to do to make it happen, and you believe it'll happen, it'll happen. And once you have your dream a little bit bigger, because you can do more than you think you can. And so if you push yourself a little bit and you make that stretch goal, you will find that you can do amazing things that you didn't know you were capable of. So dream big and then dream a little bigger, and make sure you have all those things behind you of like why you want to do it. That being said, there's no amount of dreaming big that is going to replace hard work. There is no replacement. This is my last one. There is no replacement for true, real hard work and actually doing the things. I get messages from people all the time, frustrated because they're not making progress. And a lot of the time it's because they're not putting in the effort. Not all the time. Sometimes people really are working really hard and it's just not clicking yet. And sometimes it just takes a while to click. But there is no replacement for good hard work. And we're at the point where not just I've been doing this, but I've been, you know, talking to y'all for long enough that I've seen people who start and are really excited and who drop off. And I've got to tell you, it will only pay off. You'll only build that momentum. You'll only continue if you put in the work. If you don't put in the work, you will not reap the benefits. And it's frustrating when you're doing the work and not seeing the benefits yet, but they will come if you do the work. But there is no replacement. There are no hacks I can give you. There are no, you know, special this, that, or the other that I can give you that's going to get you somewhere faster than doing the work. You just gotta do the thing. You gotta make the products, you gotta write the blogs, you gotta make the, you know, Instagram posts, whatever you're doing, you gotta do it in order for it to pay off. And so especially if you're someone who's like maybe a little bit newer, maybe a little bit frustrated, do the dang thing. Do the work. Do the work, because that's the only way that you're gonna make progress, and that's the only way you're gonna get better, and that's the only way that this business is gonna take off. But when it takes off, it's gonna be amazing, and you're gonna blow yourself away, and you're gonna be so excited, and you're gonna be so glad that you did all that work. I am so glad that I have been working on this for 4 years, 5 years for my blog. I have been working and working and working on this. And I am so happy that I have done all that work, because all that work I did 5 years ago, 4 years ago, is being paid off. Like, it's being paid off. I'm being paid back now. It took a while, but it has definitely grown. It has built the momentum, and I'm seeing the rewards of that now. So make sure that if you are new, that you keep doing the work, you dream big, dream a little bigger, and then back that up with good, solid, hard work. There's no magic button. There's no magic anything. You just gotta do the work. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you learned a few more things. I would love to know what you have learned in the past year as you have been on TPT. So leave those things down below in the comments, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.